Hi everybody, my name is Chris Burns. I'm the artist and creator of Chikara, and welcome to episode 2 of my Get to Know series. Today we're focusing on Diaz Melflock, the first ever Venezuelan supporting character in manga. Let's get started, everyone. Alright guys, welcome to episode 2. I'm super excited. You guys loved episode 1 focusing on the main character, so I had to do an episode 2 where you guys got to actually vote on my Instagram on who I would draw next and who the next video would be about. And today is about Diaz Melflock, a fan favorite of my series Chikara. So Diaz Melflock, who is she? What is she about? You know, like Diaz is, wow, she is such a character. She's one of my favorite characters to draw because she is, like I said, she's the first ever Venezuelan character in manga that is a supporting role. That's not like a side character. That's not just comedic relief, not just a character that happens to be, you know, of Hispanic descent. She is one of the leading roles in the story, if not one of the most important roles in the beginning foundation of Chikara for the first couple of chapters. So before we talk about Diaz currently, let's go all the way back kind of for her origin story. So Diaz came here from Venezuela. She moved to Atlanta at a really young age where she met the main character in their neighborhood. So I didn't really design Diaz's backstory to go super in depth of how she was like as a young kid, because later on in the story you'll get to see more of that through flashbacks and just kind of conversation between the two characters. So that way for the reader, you guys get to kind of know more about their relationship and also how she was as a kid before you got to see her now. You know, she's like 500 years old. But as a kid, Diaz was very energetic. She was very kind of rambunctious. She was very, not really a bad kid, but she was, you know, living life on the edge. You know, she didn't want to really do what all the other kids was doing and going to school and living this normal kind of American life. She was coming from another country where she left a lot of her original friends and family behind. She didn't know anyone. She didn't want to know anyone, but she gravitated towards the main character and his brother Zeb because, you know, they were these orphans. They were living life to the fullest. They weren't really obeying the rules, and she gravitated towards that. So for those of you that have read the manga, you kind of know how her relationship and the main character's relationship go together. They're best friends, almost like siblings. You know, they grew up together from a very young age all the way until their early 20s. So they're very, very close. She is older than the main character, so she's almost like, she puts herself in this kind of big sister role to him, which annoys him so much because, you know, they're all respectively their own people and they don't like to be controlled because, you know, they're kind of outcasts. They're living their life to whatever they want it to be. So when she kind of puts herself in this dominant position over the main character, whether it's for fun or whether it's for like something serious, he kind of takes that as like, you know, like, what are you talking about? Like, you're not older than me. You're not going to tell me what to do. So I'm going to obviously do the opposite of what you're telling me to do. They have a really kind of big sister, little brother relationship, which is kind of hilarious because, you know, neither one of them want to be controlled. Now, fast forward after the apocalypse. For this period of time, if you guys have read the manga, the main character has been asleep. He has been asleep for a long period of time. During this time, Diaz has spent this long period, these many years kind of redesigning how she processes things, redesigning how she does things, because she's no longer this kid or this young adult that wants to do what she wants to do. Now that she has this mission and this power from God, her whole perspective has changed. She's almost matured, even though she still looks very, very young. She's matured into a very wise, I don't want to call her an old woman, but she's you know, she's 500 years old. So she's had a long period of time, many years to actually, you know, mature and to think now more about other people rather than herself. So what does this mean for the main character? Obviously, you know, he's waking up, and for him it's not been that long. For him, you know, in his mind, he's still 21, 22 years old, so he's still going to think that way. And now Diaz is she's had way more experience, she's older than him, and now that he's coming back into her life, you know, in the beginning of the story, the dynamic has changed. It's no longer this equal buddy friendship. Now it's, you know, Diaz is like, listen, you're going to do what I say because I'm older than you, really older than you now, and I know more about what's going on in this world, the things that's happening. So this friendship that we had in the past, it is not gonna ever be the same as it was. Like it won't ever get to be the same because they're just on two different wavelengths at the moment. So just a little bit more about her. She, in terms of like her style, growing up in Atlanta, they all kind of developed, they were living on the streets. So they developed their sense of fashion and style based on streetwear and that kind of environment. So in the beginning of the story, when I designed her, she was very, very basic. She was wearing kind of like a black sports bra and just some black leggings and some sneakers, because it's hot here. If you guys have not been here, it is hot here. Or if you've lived in the South, you already know. So no one's going to be walking around wearing like really, really baggy streetwear clothes and stuff, even though we want to, because it's just not practical. We would pass out. So that's why in the beginning I designed most of them, super, super simple. Oversized t-shirt, shorts, sneakers, or leggings, sports bra, because it's practical here to be wearing that kind of stuff in the summer because it's so hot. But after the time skip in the beginning of the story, you can see that her personality has changed. Obviously her hair color, but also her style has changed in terms of what she's wearing. In the beginning of the story, she's wearing this kind of roughed up, torn, not really a full kimono, but it's kind of inspired by one, because I wanted to design her in the beginning with something practical but a little edgy, because she's fighting. I don't want her to be wearing almost nothing, because she has to be able to withstand punches, blows, and blah 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 blah. But I didn't want to over design her outfit to where she's wearing like all this armor, all this stuff, because I still wanted people to see that it was her and that she is she is a strong woman, a strong Hispanic woman, and doesn't need necessarily a lot of gadgets and gimmicks and all this stuff to make her strong. And she doesn't have to dress with all this armor to prove that I am a strong woman. She is wearing what she likes to wear, which is very comfortable for her, and it's inspired by a lot of what's going on in the world. You have to remember, so it's been 500 years. Diaz has already kind of been over the whole planet. I don't want to give a lot of away, but she was inspired by a specific country that will be very important in her story and in her growth, and that's why she's kind of dressing in this way. But by the middle of, I want to say it was around chapter 7, I can't really remember, it's on the screen, I wanted to actually update her design. I wanted to get rid of the old raggedy clothes that she was wearing and kind of update them so they were a little bit more sleek, a little bit more design, just a little bit better on what she was wearing. Still the same style, but just a little bit more practical for her and how she fights. So let's talk about some of her goals, some of Diaz's goals right now in the current state of the story. Now, obviously she was she was the first chosen by God to start this kind of cleansing of the planet and fighting off of the Antichrist and all of the evil and the demons and all that kind of stuff. So she has this really big responsibility and this big burden on herself and on her heart to save the world. Even though there's multiple chosen that have already been explored and kind of told already, you guys that read the manga already know who they are, there's still many more that haven't been. She feels like since she's the first one that she almost has to lead everybody, and that kind of shifts after an event that happens, like, as I'm trying not to give too many spoilers, an event that happens in her life, and then it shifts to, instead of saving the world, I need to protect this one group of people, which this group of people, this city is called Vanoli. It's one of the last standing cities of believers of Christ. They are to them, they believe that they are the last group of Christians that are all living together, in the world. They think that they're the last ones. So she feels that now that since something happened in the past and she believes that it's her fault, she believes that now her mission is to protect this last group of Christians, because if they get wiped out, then how is her mission to save the world and bring peace for everybody else going to come to fruition? So let's talk about powers. What powers does this specific chosen have? Well, Diaz is the wielder of holy fire. She is able to control flames. She's able to produce them. She's actually able to fly as well using her flames. So if you think about it in the sense of a firebender from Avatar, that's the type of power she has. She's able to produce large amounts of fire and control it as well. And throughout the story, obviously those powers will get refined. New powers will be unlocked. I'm excited to say that there's going to be a lot of new powers that the chosen don't even know that they have that's coming. So that's pretty exciting. Diaz also has the power of super speed, which most chosen have. It's a natural ability that God gives them to be able to run fast. So they all can move pretty quick, not at the speed of light or anything, but they can move faster than the average human. I'd say about 40 miles an hour, just to kind of give you a rough kind of example and the perspective on how fast it can run. So she can run pretty fast. She can keep up with the Cosmo Corporation, which are using jet boots, which they're going a solid 40 or 50 miles an hour in the air. So she can keep up with them pretty easily. Another power that the Chosen naturally have that she also has is the power of super strength. Now, I have not showcased her super strength because the way super strength works, and this is just kind of a spoiler for the story, the way super strength works, they all have this ability. They're able to literally knock out mountains. If you think of like One Punch Man, they naturally have the ability to punch that strong, but they've all practiced and honed their strength to where they know how to regulate it, almost like All Might from My Hero Academia. He knows when All Might can use 3% of his power and it's solid. He does not have to use 100%. So if you think about it that way, they all know what percentage of power they need to use for that fight, because they don't want anyone else to get hurt during these battles. It's not like normal anime like One Punch Man, where he knocks out an entire city block with his punch. He doesn't know who he just killed. He just knows he beat the villain. They don't want to put other people in danger, so they know how to regulate their power. And that's why when they were fighting the giant demon in the desert, the main character was able to literally destroy him with one punch, because he was like, oh snap, like I'm super strong, I can do this. But over time, he will have to learn how to not do that, because when he is in a super populated area like a city, he's not going to be able to do that, because he would end up killing so many people. So they all have that strength. They all have to learn how to use it, or else it could be really deadly to everyone they're actually trying to protect. Now, a big question I get for the people that are reading the manga is, in the manga, why is Diaz's skin not brown? Well, this is actually just a little backstory on that. When I was first designing her, way back, early stages, I didn't know at the time that I wanted to make her skin brown in the manga, because she's very, I guess, light skinned, and I didn't know if I wanted to make her darker in the manga or lighter in the manga. It ended up just kind of happening she just ended up not having any color. And when I thought about it later on down the road, it was also a Clip Studio thing, and it was during the time when I really didn't know how to tone and do grays and that stuff really well. And it's something that I regret a little bit, and I've been debating for when I do some changes for some upcoming stuff coming out regarding the manga, that I will update that. And it's going to be something that I just really think about, because at the end of the day, like it matters. I want it to matter. I want people to look in the manga and know that she's a person of color. But at the same time, I feel like that it's not super important right now to make that a priority to change it. And all of that will make sense when I announce what's coming soon, and you'll realize, oh, okay, then yeah, it's gonna work out. But for now, that's why. That's why in the manga she looks white. She's not. She's just light skinned. But don't worry, big things are coming, and you guys will see what I mean when that comes out. And lastly, guys, before we wrap up the video, you guys know that I like to draw my inspiration from real life people. I very rarely create characters that are just random and brand new. I do it, but most of the time they are based off of either someone that I know or someone that I have seen, and I'm like, oh man, they make a great character. This person, Diaz Melflock, is actually based on my best friend Diaz in real life. For those of you that follow me on Instagram, you know that she has done cosplays of her character. If you want to see them, there's one on the screen right now. She is the real life version of Diaz Melflock to a T. I'm talking about personality, I'm talking about looks, everything. So if you guys ever see Diaz in real life, and you'll know when you see her, you can be like, oh my gosh, this is real life Chikara stuff happening right here in front of me. Alright guys, that is it for the video. Here's the final image of Diaz Melflock that I colored traditionally and obviously edited digitally. I know I didn't actually record myself coloring it traditionally because I was in the middle of moving, so I had to kind of get this stuff together when I could. It was a very stressful thing, so I apologize if you wanted to see me color it traditionally and some other stuff. I had to kind of do what I could and make the video kind of happen here. But I promise for the next one you guys get to see me kind of color some stuff traditionally, and it'll be great. But as always, I appreciate everybody that supported the last video. I hope you enjoyed this one as well. If you want to see more videos, make sure to like and subscribe. I have tutorials. I have some other videos where I talk about how to be a manga artist. I have tons of stuff on my YouTube channel. So if you have not checked out those videos, please check it out. And that's it for me, guys. I hope you have a great rest of the day, week, night, morning, wherever you are in the world. And I will catch you guys for the next episode when it comes out. Peace.